I'm Betty Swan, and welcome to our show, Wisdom in the Night, where you get help for the tough decisions in your life. Tonight, I have a great guest. He is a teacher, video editor, and cinematographer. Welcome, Zaquane Cooper, or Z. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for being on this show.
No problem.
I'm very, very interested and excited about hearing your story.
Okay.
All right. First of all, how old are you?
Well, I'm 21.
21 years old.
Yeah, I turned 21 this year.
And you've lived a lot of life, I bet.
Yeah, pretty much. I turned 21 this year. This was actually, I would consider this the start of my best years of my life. Like I said, I turned 21 this year. Also, I graduated from college this year. I went on my first trip this year, took the first flight that I ever...
First airplane flight?
First airplane flight, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing. I actually went to the place that I always wanted to go when I was young. I flew to LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did it blow your mind when you got there and you got out into LAX?
Yes.
Did it overwhelm you?
So much. When I stepped off the plane, I was just like, I'm in a different state. Like, I am literally on the other side of the United States. And the first time I ever take a plane, I end up in the place I always wanted to go. And it was actually cool. It was a great experience. The people there, the food, the hospitality of the hotels, everything was just like what I imagined when I was young. So
right, and different from New York?
Yeah, way different from New York. I would say, me growing up in New York and Brooklyn most of my life, I kind of got used to the people. So when I left and once I got to LA, it was like, kind of like a new start, new beginning. The people there, the conversations I had with like random people were like amazing in a sense. Had opportunity to just meet people and just networking.
So do you feel like you grew a lot from this travel?
Yeah, I was only there for like a short week. Like I was only there for like 3 days.
But it was life-changing.
Yeah, it was like, because I finally got the opportunity to travel by myself. Most of the time that I did travel, it was like with school or like with family members, but this was the first ever flight that I took by myself. And
were you scared?
Yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of heights a little bit.
And then you're in a plane in a huge height.
Because I don't do roller coasters, so when I took the plane, it was a bit nerve-wracking, but my mind was so set on me getting there and how would I feel once I step off the plane, and I'm glad that God was with me the whole ride, the whole flight.
You know, he was so happy.
So
I bet he was excited just for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now tell me about growing up. What part of Brooklyn did you grow up in?
I consider myself growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say that is because from the ages of 11 to 16, I kind of figured out life. Before that, I lived in Best-Stuy with my family, my mom, and I used to go to school out there. And then once I turned like 11 years old, we moved to Brownsville, and that's where like life really started for me. I met friends, and I encountered a lot of stuff. I grew up, and I learned the kind of like the difference between right and wrong. And
was it a hard area to grow up in?
When I mention it to people, people always say like the area yes, the area was a bad area. But
to you, was it a bad area?
No.
Okay, talk about that.
The reason why I say it wasn't a bad area because I was a kid, you know, so like I didn't notice most of the stuff that other people would notice. So like I did grow up on a block where there were like drug dealers and people that's in gangs and all that, but I wasn't associated with that stuff.
That is so important that you're sharing that. Now, was your mom a single mom?
Yeah, my mom was a single mom.
With how many kids?
6.
Okay, so a single mom with 6 kids moved to Brownsville, and I'll tell you why this is so important. There's some mom watching right now that's going, I am having to live where I don't want to live because I cannot afford to live where I want to live. and I'm concerned that my son will grow up and go bad. But what are you saying?
Okay, what I'll say about that is one thing. Let me mention my mom. We have 6 kids. My mom has 6 kids. She was a single mother, but I consider my mother one of the strongest females I know.
What do you mean?
Like my mom was just a strong woman. Like she's a strong black woman. She always encouraged me. She always talked to me. She always had conversations with me that I would consider a father to have with me. So she had that with me. You know, she would just be like, you know, you got to keep your mind focused on things you need to do. And being a middle child out of 6, my sister, she's being the oldest. She's the only girl, and then I have 4 other brothers, 2 older and 2 younger. Me being the middle, being the middle boy, I kind of didn't have the opportunity to get the things that I wanted up front, because my older brother would take care of my older brother, and my mom would take care of my 2 younger brothers. So anytime I asked for stuff, my mom would be like, okay, you have to wait. Let me take care of those 2 first, and then if I asked anything from my older brother, my brother was like, yeah, let me take care of my brother Michael first, and then I got you. So what happened was I became like this self-made type of kid where I worked for everything I did. I remember at the age of 12, I'm packing bags at the grocery store, just saving up money so I can just buy whatever I wanted. Or
well, that wasn't a bad thing. It looked like a bad thing, but it wasn't bad thing.
It wasn't. And this was all grown up in Brownsville. That's why when people say, you know, you ask me, was it a bad neighborhood? To me, it wasn't, because I wasn't affected by I wasn't affected by the culture yet.
Yes.
And the reason why I say yet is because I was still aging, I was still growing, I was still meeting people, I was still trying to understand life. And all I knew was I'm 12 years old, I live on a block where I see normal stuff. This is normal to me. My mom goes to work, my brothers goes to school, I go to school, I come home, anything that I want, I gotta work for it. But over time, I grew up, and that's when like life really started to hit me.
And like, you mean like temptations, or
Yeah.
Getting in trouble, or?
Yeah, around when I first moved there, I did meet one of my best friends. I'm 2 best friends, which is Poppy, which his real name is Marion, and my other friend Alpha. I met them too. They was the first 2 people I met when I moved there. We got close together, and we grew up, and we met a few other friends, which was, you know, Khalif and my other friends, Kayvon and them. We all met each other, and we all became like these close brothers in arms, like these best friends. And we just really wanted to like just have fun. And at that time, being a teenager in Brownsville was very like hard. Growing up as a teenager in Brownsville, that's when the temptation started to happen. Like in the central heart of Brownsville, there was like this massive wave or a massive culture where being in gangs, being part of a group or a team was essential. It's what was needed.
Wow.
And
was there a lot of pressure to be a part of a gang?
Yeah. But with me, like I'm kind of good with pressure in a sense. Like I don't fall into peer pressure that easily. But the thing was, we really wanted a sense of self to try to like people to understand who we was. So
Everybody feels that way.
yeah, so we started to hang out with each other, you know, go to parties and just like trying to find ways to understand the culture. And so like from the central of Brownsville was like this massive wave of being part of a gang, smoking, drinking, going to parties, doing all this radical stuff, and it hit us. It hit us at an early age. It hit us at 15 years old, and at 15 years old, I'm staying out late, you know, going to parties, telling my mother I'm going to sleep at my friend's house, when I'm running to a party, you know, like.
And getting drunk or what?
Oh well, no.
Getting high?
Around that time, I didn't drink nor smoke. but I was still doing things bad. I would be outside like ultra late. And knowing that my mom was a single mother, I kind of had this mentality like, oh, you know, like she got other things to worry about, so she probably won't worry about me. So I'll be outside till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, like talking to my friends and trying to understand what we're gonna do for the next day, and just really trying to understand like how we can play a part in this whole culture. Mm-hmm. So
did you get into trouble?
Yeah. Okay. Around the age of 15, around that time, around age of 15, I caught my first robbery charge. My mom, since my mother was a single mother, I wasn't able to get a lot of things that I wanted. And growing up in that culture, you needed to have those things like phones, clothes,
tennis shoes,
all the look was like what made you what you were. So if you didn't have those things,
and you couldn't get them,
you know, like you wasn't worth nothing. Like nobody would talk to you. You won't be recognized, and that was the culture then. Like you had to be recognized. So it was like we associated with like, okay, if we get that, if we have that phone or those shoes, we're cool. So let's go do that. Let's go get that.
So you stole them.
Yeah. So
and got caught.
Yeah. We was in Staten Island, and we got into an altercation with these boys in Staten Island just because of that altercation, because we was from Brooklyn and they was from Staten Island, and we had this like a huge fight, and the police got involved, and I ended up taking a phone, and I ended up getting arrested for that. But the people didn't press charges, but it was basically pinned on me because I was the oldest. Mm-hmm. At that time, when that I got arrested, I was 15 years old, and my rest of my friends was 14 and 13.
Oh, gee.
So,
well, let me ask you something. Did you get arrested any other times as you were in that neighborhood, or
no, that was my first ever charge.
Did you go to jail ever?
No, they didn't press charges, so they.
But I mean, like in your whole life, did you?
Yeah, I'll lead up to that. It kind of led up to that, in a sense, because that was my first charge that I ever got, and that was at age 15, and that's when we kind of stopped, like, you know, like we kind of shook it up and was just like, we don't want to be in that type of light, so.
But eventually things changed. Things got worse, actually. That wasn't like, things really got worse. What really started to happen was the culture began to get more hype and get more radical. Yes, it puts more pressure on you, doesn't it? More and more and more. The older you get, the pressure increases. Because life is like that. Well, Z, let me ask you something. For somebody that's watching this show right now that says, I know exactly what he's talking about, even though I know where he's going next because I've already been there. What advice would you give somebody that is watching right now that's in that age group, knowing that pressure? That pressure is real. The desire to prove who you are with what you have. What would you say to somebody to get out of that pressure?
Find stability in yourself. Know your self-worth, because the materialistic things won't give you won't fill that void that you feel. It won't fill that empty feeling. And also, those things are not going to define who you are. God defines who you are.
Well, how did you get to know God in the middle of all of that?
During the darkest times when growing up in Brownsville, when I was finishing up, I was in a gang. I was involved. I was heavily getting into a lot of altercations, fighting like every other week. This big tragedy happened where there was this huge fight on my block, and it was me and my friends. We was involved, and I had got sent away to Long Island. And the reason why I got sent away to Long Island was because these people was trying to kill me.
Gosh, what a mess. What a life.
Yeah.
And so did you find God in Long Island?
No, Long Island was like this period where I was away from Brownsville. I was away
that
from
was
Brooklyn.
a good thing.
Yeah, and I got to spend a lot of time with my cousins, and I stayed in Long Island for about like 6 months, and then I moved back. And then when I moved back to when I moved back to Brooklyn, a lot of the confrontation was like settled down and settled down. So I started to still hang with my friends. We were still smoking and drinking and partying. And out of nowhere, I remember like it was yesterday, time went past, time started passing. It's my senior year in high school. I'm 17 years old. It was the weekend of Christmas. It was literally the day after Christmas. I get a phone call from my cousin, and my cousin's like, hey, let's go out and go make some money. My cousin is a dancer. He's a professional dancer now. Back then, we used to dance on trains. They still dance on trains now, but back then it was just starting up, and I used to dance on trains too. So he called me out. He was like, let's go hit the trains. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was getting dressed, and I left, and I got on the train, and I walked through the car doors. And when I walked through the car doors, the police stopped me and they arrested me because I had like priors or whatever, and that's a charge. And long story short, I ended up seeing a judge, and they ended up letting me go. But then I ended up getting taken to a whole different police station, and it was like this guy in a suit, and it was this guy in a vest, and they both had badges on, and they asked me, they was like, "Are you Zaquane Cooper?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they were like, "Well, we just came from your house, and your mom told her that you was here. You are under investigation for a robbery that happened in East New York."
Okay, well, now let me ask you something. In the middle of all of that, Jesus came to you and said, "I want your life"?
No. I went through the process. I told them that it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. I was done with that type of lifestyle. Like I didn't have nothing to do with that, and they didn't believe me. They put me in a lineup. I ended up getting picked out of the lineup and getting charged with a first-degree robbery.
Oh my gosh! Now wait a minute. We got to stop right here. That is just more.
Yeah.
You ended up being a young man that graduated from a school, a college, and you became a young man who got involved in studio production. You're doing that now with Brick, and you are on your way to your new life. You love the Lord. You care about God. You're with God. And how did that happen, actually? How did you tell me the story of where you actually found Jesus?
I was when I got arrested, I got sent to Rikers Island, and I was actually in jail in Rikers Island. I was there, and I was sitting in a cell, and it was a kid that was in the next cell next to me, and there was like this ventilation system that was actually in there, so like the cells are connected to each other, and he asked me what I was in for, and I told him I got arrested for robbery, and I asked him what he was in for. And he was like, I'm inside for 7 conspiracy. I'm here for
conspiracy?
Yeah, I'm here for counts of conspiracy. I was like, conspiracy to what? And he was like, conspiracy to murder.
Oh my
and
God.
I was like, he was like, yeah, I'm 16. He was like, he told me, he said, I'm not never going home. That night, I was thinking about my life, and I prayed to God, and I told God that I didn't care about my old life anymore, and if he gets me out, I'll change. And some people believe that, like after that I woke up and everything was different, but it wasn't. I woke up and I still was in a cell. But God is good. God is amazing. 2 days later at 4 a.m. it was like a bang on the cell, and it was like a flashlight. And usually when that happens, the corrections officers are picking you up to go to your court date. But magically, I woke up and I told them, I said, I don't have court today. And the CO was like, I know, get up. you're going home, somebody posts bail,
Wow.
and my bail was set at $50,000, and my mom did not have any of that type of money at all. Like, you know, like we was technically, you know, like lower class, and $50,000 to us was like, you know,
Impossible.
But miraculously, $50,000 bail's bond is only $5,000, and God is so amazing because my brother filed his income tax 2 days before, which was the same exact day that I prayed, and his income tax came in the amount, and it was exactly $5,000.
That is a miracle.
And he bailed me out.
You know, Z, you have such great capabilities inside you, and you can take this bad that's happened and you can use it all for good. Because I heard a person say one time, out of your mess, you get your message.
Amen.
Out of your trials, you get your testimony.
Amen.
And that's what you've got.
Yeah.
And you're going to help a lot of people. A lot of people are watching this. Well, let's talk a little bit about what kind of wisdom do you have now that you didn't have? We've heard of all these challenges you've gone through, but look where you are. And like you said at the beginning of the show, I feel like my life has just begun. What are you talking about?
I've grown so much in God, necessarily. I would say that I grew so much in God because I grew up at an early age.
Yes, you had
You know,
to.
like I was faced with a lot of trials and tribulations at an early age, and I believe that happened because God was preparing me for something else.
Okay.
And sometimes I was like, some people like, you know, like, why me? And and now I know it's like because God has a plan for me now. And if I haven't had went through those things when I was younger, I wouldn't have been so prepared and understood now. And what I really mean by my life is beginning now is because I'm growing up. I'm grown, and
do you feel older than 21?
Yeah, way older.
How old do you feel?
I feel like I'm probably like 25. I feel like I hit the
You've done a lot of living.
Yes, but God is like, yo, you don't know what I got for you. And
Is that encouraging to you?
yes, it's so encouraging to me, and it's encouraging others as well too. When I speak to people and they're like, yo, man, like how old are you? And I'm just like, I'm 21. And he was like, you went through all that and you 21? I'm like, yeah, that was only, and like what I told you, it sounds like a whole lifetime, but that was only my 16 and 17 years and like, you know, of age. And I'm just like, he was like, so what you've been doing now? And it's like, God has just been blessing me, you know.
Now, aren't you teaching? What do you teach?
Oh yeah, okay. Yes, I teach video production.
Where do you teach that?
I teach at an after-school program, which is also a middle school. I teach for a nonprofit by the name of Canva. There's a nonprofit organization. It's for young kids.
Do you like teaching?
Yeah, I love it.
What do you love about it?
Okay, the reactions I get from the kids.
What do they say?
When they found out that I was the same kid that was sitting in their seat, they get freaked out. They're like, "What? You're so like yeah." The place that I work at, I've been there since I was 11. Since I moved to Brownsville, is actually in Brownsville. I teach there now, and I used to go there when I was coming from after school. Back when I was in middle school, I used to come after school. I used to go there,
and now you're there teaching the ones that were like you were then.
Yep.
So you know, I bet you they can't fool you.
Yeah, exactly. So anything that they do say, but most of the interactions I have with the kids are very like real and genuine. It's not like dictatorship as far as like academic teaching. It's most likely creative teaching, and that's what I like to teach. I like to teach them how to be creative and how to express themselves through, like their art form, whatever they do, whether they dance, whether they sing, whether they like cameras, take photos, gaming, like anything that you can be creative, just use it, use your tools, use your gifts, and I let them like free run. But it's like I give them a free run of creativity, so I let them be creative in a mind and let it like reach however high it could. And I don't limit them at all. I don't tell them, oh, we can't do this. We can, no, we can do anything you put your mind to. So, and I think a lot of people say that, but they give you a cap. I don't give them the kids that I teach a cap. I just, you want to fly? Let's go find out how to build that. You know, if you want to fly, okay, cool. Let's create a digital simulation of how, you know, you can teach yourself how to fly. Let's figure that out. Let's really do this. Let's get down.
And do you see the kids really taking off because you give them that freedom like that?
Yeah.
Creative freedom?
Yeah, like last year I used to, our theme for my job is called Fearless Leaders. And it's basically about building up, you know, like these fearless leaders, building up, making kids fearless of anything that they want to do, have them actually be
you're going to see kids with changed lives. You're going to see kids miss what you went through. So I just want to talk to you about that. You know, you have seen a young man who has been through it all, at 21, through it all. But actually, he's surviving and thriving. And you can do that too. It does not matter where you're from. It only matters about where are you going. That's all that matters. And Jesus loves you desperately. He cares about you. He wants to help you. You heard about the miracle he did for Z. He wants to do miracles for you. Open your heart up. Say, God, come into my life. Jesus, I believe in you. You died for my sins. Forgive me. Come and do something with me. And so I want to thank you so much for tuning in. It was not an accident that you turned on the TV tonight. I know you received some wisdom, and I hope you did, and that you have a great rest of the night, whether you're going to sleep or you're going back to work. But I'll see you next time. Bye.